Now, to call any speaker the best desktop speaker is, of course, nonsense. However, if your budget is $850 and you're looking for a smooth-sounding desktop near-field speaker that draws inspiration from the legendary BBC mid-range king LS35A speaker, then yeah, the new Galion TS Voyager can be a candidate for the best. Now, there is a logic as to why the designer called it an homage to the LS35A, because I will show it in the measurements later. Now, TS stands for Thomas in Stereo, Voyager, well, the name of a ship or starship. You Star Trek fans should buy the speaker just for the name. The first batch will be made in bamboo. Bamboo was chosen because it is very strong. Not easy to work with. It requires precise CNC cutting and assembling, almost like working with aluminum. Some call it the carbon fiber of wood. Now, in the future, I plan to move to birch plywood, which is better than MDF. For now, this might be your once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a ridiculously affordable speaker made of bamboo. It is almost as if you have to buy it just for the price. Now, talking about bamboo, the sponsor for today's video is FlexiSpot. Why? I was looking for a standing desk, the type that can, extend upwards so I can stand while working at my desk, because ever since I had my surgery, I could not sit for long. Turns out FlexiSpot has a standing desk with a bamboo finish, or actually maybe made of bamboo, which is an excellent match with my bamboo speakers. More on that later. Now, it took me almost 2 years to introduce a new product because I have a rule about what goes under the Galion brand. It has to fall into either one of the three categories. It either needs to be high performance, high value, or special. Now, the current Galion TS120 tube amp and the upcoming solid-state Class A amp falls in the category of high performance, almost price no object. Now, the upcoming giant killer Galion TS A75 solid-state amp and the TS34 tube amp falls in the category of high value, meaning affordable, no need to eat instant noodles a year to save up, but the performance will make even owners of high-end audio go WTF. Now, this Galion TS Voyager speaker falls in the category of being special. Now, it's special because it is not your typical mass market speaker like, let's say, the KEF R3 Meta. Rather, it falls into a niche market. Let me explain. So the TS Voyager is one of those speakers that was designed to capture the LS35A magic. Really, Thomas? The only thing it has in common with the LS35A, by looking at it, it has two drivers, yeah, and small. I asked the designer, Dr. Viet Nguyen, about this, and I also brought the TS Voyager to an anechoic chamber. And well, that chamber is not finished yet, but it's almost finished. They needed a week more, but I didn't want to wait, and they told me data above 200 Hertz should be good enough. Eventually, I'll get it measured again, okay, once they finish that anechoic chamber. So Dr. Viet's background is incredible, and I had to cut out a lot of the footage when he introduced himself, else the video would be too long. Now, let me highlight a few interesting points related to his audio background. He has built over 100 speakers and has currently 4 speakers on the market under the LSA brand. He also designs amplifier. He was the lead designer of the Bob Carver RAM 285 tube amp and the RPM 12 tube preamp. Now, he owns a dozen patents, many of them in the audio field. For example, Mobius Acoustics Extensible Subwoofer Ring Resonator Block horn. Now, in the interview, I chose instead to share the part of his background that is not audio related, because I thought it was more interesting.
My name is Viet Nguyen. I am the designer of the transmission line and the sealed speaker that Thomas is selling. Mm-hmm. My background is I've got a degree in mechanical engineering and a lot of work in the diagnostics, optical diagnostics for a long time. I have a PhD from Berkeley. My undergraduate was at UC Irvine and also got a master's there. But anyway, I specialize mostly in mechanical design, combustion, laser optics, and some chemistry. So I did a lot of that for many years as a researcher. Wrote papers and stuff. And my day job is I was a research engineer for NASA for many years. And then the past 13 years, I've moved on to program management. And my day job is I am a program manager for spacecraft programs. One of the speakers that I was really interested in is the BBC LS35A, and I tried to develop my own version of it using modern drivers. If you want to capture the essence of a speaker, you want to try to capture its step response. So if we take a look at the step response of the Rogers here, it looks like that. Yeah, and a step response basically shows what would happen if you were to just give an impulse function that's a step signal to the speaker. It would then, have a rise and then a fall. Ideally, if it was a transient perfect speaker, it would be a perfectly straight line up and then just a triangular fall off like this. So these are deviations from non-ideal behavior. So here's Thomas's speaker. Here's the TS Voyager.
So it looks
What's
similar.
actually nicer about this is these two peaks are closer together. So it means that the transient sound will have less blurring. So if you do a rim shot, you're going to hear a nice snap. Whereas here, it's got a slightly bit more separation. But overall, it's a similar shape.
Now, I want to make sure I set the correct expectations. Although Dr. Viet draws inspiration from the LS35A, the TS Voyager does sound different compared to my LS35A and my other LS35A inspired speakers, such as my Spendor S3 5R2, Proac Tablette 1, Harbeth P3 ESR. There is, however, one thing in common with all those speakers, including this TS Voyager, and that is it is harmonically rich in the mid-range. There's something about the tone of these kind of speakers that will make you listen non-stop. And one key difference for me, the voice tends to pop out more, while normal speakers like KEF R3 Meta, for example, relatively speaking, tend to be more balanced. In the beginning, I was puzzled as to why I like these kind of speakers, because if you put it against a Buchar S400, for example, the S400, man, objectively would destroy all of them in terms of bass, dynamics, and soundstage. Yet, a reissue of a Rogers LS35A costs $5,000 today, while a Buchar costs about $2,000. Hey, let me tell you a story about the TS Voyager. So Denise, an audio buddy of mine, dropped by the other day to listen to the Klipsch RF7 III. Now, if you watch my video on the RF7, amazing deep bass, wide soundstage, lively, fun, fast, and Denise quickly noticed it is a step up from the Klipsch RF8000 that his friend has. He was impressed. So after listening to the RF7, I put on the TS Voyager speaker, and what do you think his first reaction was? He just went from a foundation shaking speaker to one that's 15 times smaller in size. The first thing he said, "Hey Thomas, man, there's actually more mid-range resolution with these small speakers. Listen to the piano and I can hear da-da-da." Now, of course, Dennis is an experienced listener, so he understands the point of these speakers. Newbies would be like, where's the bass? So how does the Galion TS Voyager sound? As I said, if your goal is to find a replica of the original LS35A sound, the TS Voyager is not it. Unlike my LS35A and their variants that I own, the TS Voyager is smoother and is more comfortable to listen at near field. You will not get listening fatigue. That alone, forgetting about the whole LS35A narrative, okay? Forget about that. It's worthy of your time to check out if you're looking for a musical speaker. Do you know how many emails I get about people complaining about listening fatigue? This speaker is forgiving. You can pair it up with any amplifier, well, with decent power, an IOTA VX for example, and it will sound fine. Next, the mid-range is what the speaker is about. Vocals are forward, but not aggressive, near field. and it has texture. The voice is warm, thick, and full. See, I don't like thin sounding speaker. So if you're looking for this kind of sound, this kind of voice, yeah, this is it. Next, one of the advantages of this not being a true LS358 replica is that it is not constrained by needing to follow the same specs. So this allows Dr. Viet to build the speaker with a bigger cabinet, giving it more bass. I know these are small, 5-inch drivers, but they can surprise you with the amount of bass you can get, especially if you push it hard. Play the song, make it stronger, and you'll be like, huh? You'll be surprised at how tight and round the bass is. Although objectively, I would say it is not at the level of a $5,000 LS358 in terms of transparency and air, I would not be surprised some of you might have more pleasure listening to the TS Voyager simply because it is a smoother and warmer sounding speaker. So let me tell you another story. I swear, okay, it is true story. Mr. Quad loved the TS Voyager in his big room, but keep in mind he had it paired with a subwoofer. Now, after he borrowed the TS Voyager, he started to have interest in speakers that are known for mid-range. So he borrowed my Harbeth M30. A few days later, he texts me, hey Thomas, strangely, I prefer the TS Voyager. Now, I swear, man, this is a true story. And all I can say is, maybe just a question of taste, or maybe he had the wrong stand for the M30. Who knows? Finally, these speakers will disappear easily in your room if you use them like a normal speaker. The sound just detaches from the speaker. So allow me to pause for a moment and talk about Flexi Spot. And see, I was looking for an adjustable table because I spend a lot of time at my desk and it does get tiring after sitting down for long periods, for a long time. So I asked Flexi Spot if I could buy a standing desk from them. You see, they have a bamboo version. And I thought, yeah, I do. It will match well with my bamboo speakers. I even have bamboo keyboard and bamboo mouse. And they said, Thomas, nah, they will sponsor this video instead. Oh man, so good to have a YouTube channel. So guys, give me 1 minute of your time so I can thank FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. If you are an audiophile and you're looking for a standing table, this might be the table. Why? Because we audiophiles have stupid heavy amplifier. The heavier, the better. Heck man, the Galion TS120 is about 70 pounds. Not a problem because the table I got, the E7, can handle up to 355 pounds, which is like 5 Galion TS120. Next, the table is sturdy, so I don't have to worry about the table tipping over, even if I have a heavy amplifier on the table. Also, you know, we audiophiles are known for cable spaghetti mess. Well, you can get the cable management accessory to declutter. I like the build quality and I love the fact I can raise the table with a touch of a button. Right now, the current one that I'm using myself, I have to do it manually and it's a pain in the ass. Also, the desk goes up pretty smooth, pretty fast. It's rated to go up and down 20,000 times, so this is important for me because I stand up at least 15 times a day. Now, if you don't want bamboo, yeah, there are other colors. I still think bamboo is the coolest. The best part, it comes with a 15-year warranty. Man, I wish audio gear would come with a 15-year warranty. Now, usually they sell for about 500 bucks, the one I got, but right now they are having a Black Friday special. So go check them out. Back to the TS Voyager. So who is this speaker not for? If you're at the beginning stage of your audiophile journey and you want detail, bass, you want to be impressed. Okay, I'll say go explore the mainstream types of speaker. Next, the speaker are not meant to be played at loud volume. If you notice throughout the video, I keep mentioning it's best to use this near field or on the desktop. And the reason is because I noticed with these kind of speaker where there's an emphasis on the mid-range, if you start pushing the volume beyond a certain point, let's say in a big room or even a medium room, it can get a bit shouty. Now, Mr. Quad was able to get the TS Voyager to sound good in his room because he had a subwoofer. But I want to keep the expectations correct. The last thing I want is you buy it and you bring it home and you say, Thomas say it's smooth, but I listen in my big room and it is not. For it to sound smooth, it has to be in its quote-unquote natural designed environment. Finally, no 2-watt flea power tube amps. Although this speaker is not hard to drive, if you want volume, you need power. So I fell in love with this speaker when I first got it. And right away, I wrote on my Patreon page that if you're looking for a musical speaker, you cannot go wrong with this. So this was my honest opinion way before I decided to bring it under the Galion brand. I wanted it under the Galion brand because I have another speaker developed by Dr. Viet, which is similar, but with a transmission line. Now, I know some of you might want to wait for the transmission line version, right? Which one to get, this or the transmission line version? Well, you get this one for near field or desktop. If you want it to use this in a small room and you have a subwoofer, okay, yeah, you can get this one. The transmission line one is for a big room, and man, you better have a big room.
So here's the Rogers.
Okay. Is
Oh,
it
no, that's the Voyager. Okay, so here's the Rogers.
anything we talk about regarding this? Does it look
Yeah, what you're looking for here is that you want to see that the energy falls off and goes to zero and doesn't have a lot of artifacts down here. And what that says is that it's a clean sounding speaker that doesn't have a lot of resonance. Although if you look over here, in sub 100 hertz, you've got rumble and things like that here. So this could be the room. I'm not sure. But in general, both of these speakers, they have very similar waterfalls, as you can see. They both fall off nicely. The sound decays. Yeah.
Aren't you pushing the drivers a little bit hard to cross at 5 kilohertz? I mean, if you look at the distortion data from, do you see anything? Because I don't hear the distortion, but I get people asking that question.
Oh yeah, sure. So let's why don't we take a look at the distortion? We've got the data right here. So Rogers distortion has a bump here.
At 2 kilohertz.
That yellow color is the third harmonic. And this is a typical distortion from the woofer. And even though they're crossing at a lower frequency, it's got that bump. It's almost so. Now let's take a look at what it looks like on the TS Voyager. It's got a bump. It's not quite at 2 kilohertz. It's about 1.5. But nothing worse. And distortion, when you start going down into the bass, it's going to start rising. So this cabinet actually has a big distortion peak right here at 70 hertz.
So you're telling me even if you're crossing at 5 kilohertz, there is no unexpected distortion then, if I'm looking at the distortion?
No, you can see here that it's actually as good or better than, actually, so let's look at this. This is 4783, so a little less than 40 dB. So let's look at here. 4487. So this is a little better. It's actually better than the LS35A.
I see.
Okay.
But why did you cross it so high?
Oh yeah. So why did I cross it at 5 kilohertz? If I can actually pull up the crossover curve. Okay, so here, this is a diagram showing the crossover development for this TS Voyager speaker. And the red line is the response of the woofer, and the green line is the response of the tweeter. And if you can see, the crossover point is like right around 5 kilohertz right here.
Okay.
And it's asymmetric, so the woofer falls off rather quickly, and I've got that's about a fourth order fall off, and the tweeter is kind of a second order. If you want to have really good spatial coherence and good soundstage and being able to pick out where instruments are in the soundstage, you want to have a speaker have really good phase coherence from 500 hertz to about 5 kilohertz. That's the range where your ears use all of those acoustic cues to build a spatial image of where the sound is in your mind. And so if you have a single driver that acts throughout that range, you're going to inherently basically have better coherence in your speaker. A lot of two-way speakers will cross around 1,500 hertz to 2,000 hertz. So then they're only using the woofer up to here, and they're losing this ability here to have that single speaker coherence. So what I do is I pick a driver that actually works really well all the way out to 5. It actually has a natural fall off at 5. And then what I do is I boost that fall off with a filter. So now it falls off at 4th order. So now I can have a nice deep 4th order fall off for the price of a 2nd order. So it doesn't require a lot of components. Furthermore, I've placed my crossover out at 5 kilohertz, and now I've maintained the single driver coherence. So we use the tweeter to give us the nice top end, but we use the woofer here really to cover the bass and the mid-range, which is where all of the spatial information is contained. And that's one of the reasons why this speaker has such a nice, smooth mid-range. It's because it's really just one driver that's doing the mid-range. I was mentioning earlier the impedance function here. You can see that it just has 2 bumps. On the BBC LS35A, it's got several peaks, and they're much steeper and sharper. The phase variation is also very smooth. So this is a very easy to drive speaker. It bottoms out at 7 ohms. I would say acoustically, if you're playing music, the average is around 12 and a half ohms, 13 ohms right here in the middle, maybe 11. So very similar to the LS35. That's spec'd at 11 ohms.
All right, so let's wrap it up. I think by bringing the TS Voyager speaker to market, there is value, because out of most of the speakers I listen to, most speakers today fall on the analytical side. Okay, it's not often that I find a speaker on the musical side. Analytical in the sense that you're bombarded by detail. While a musical speaker, you're not constantly assaulted by information. It allows you to just enjoy the music. For that reason, I think for many of you who have been looking for a speaker who is voiced more towards the musical side, for your desk, your search might be over. All right, till next time. Just before I wrap it up, remember, if you're shopping for a standing desk, don't forget to check out FlexiSpot. If you're on a limited budget, they do have some models at less than 150 bucks. Hey, also they gave me a coupon code. I'll put it somewhere in the description.
I never think, I never know. I'm stuck and left alone. I've been lost, I've been fine. My cost is not defined. Won't you kiss me? Won't